It's that time of year again in Texas where we are about to freeze and people are scared. They are freaking out. I'm here to tell you everything's going to be fine. And I thought it would be fun just to explain a little bit about my own survival tactics for a Texas freeze and give you some ideas on what you can do just so you can prepare and feel a little bit better about not having any problems. So, a Texas freeze is a lot like a hurricane because your biggest threat is going to be a power outage. And so that's why I have this thing right here. This is a Honda EU 3000 3000 watt inverter generator. I like to call this thing my center point backup plan because if I lose electricity and center point lets me down, I can still keep my family warm. If you were here in 2021, then you're going to, of course, remember the winter apocalypse, and that's where this thing came from because in 2021, I had a 1-month-old baby. Centerpoint failed at providing electricity to us, and it hit like 40 degrees in my house. So in an ideal world, you should probably have a fireplace that will greatly help you in the event that you lose power when it's really cold outside. But if you're like me and you don't have a fireplace, then the next best thing is going to be a nice portable generator with some good electric heaters. So this is a Lasco ceramic tower heater. It's an Auto Eco model. Now these things are awesome. I mean, they're really badass. They put out a lot of nice heat. I've used them for years. I own like 2 or 3 of them. They last forever, and they are very eco-friendly. And what I mean by that is if you set the thermostat on these, they don't take a whole lot of power. Even though in general, as you may or may not know, electricity is just simply not very efficient when it comes to generating heat. And that's why, if you have the option, get yourself an interlock so you can use your generator to run your house furnace, which hopefully runs off of natural gas because natural gas is really the best for heating. And so this is my plan for a power outage. Just have a plan. You don't need a Honda generator. Just get a decent inverter generator and you should be fine. I always keep at least 4 or 5 gallons of ethanol-free fuel on standby for my generator. That should last me a few days, but of course it depends on your generator. You really need to understand the efficiency of it and how much time you can get out of it in an emergency. So another thing that you're going to want to consider with the Texas freeze is this plant needs to go inside. Put this thing in the garage, you're all done. If you have outside plants, these ferns can handle like a 20-degree wind chill. So tonight I will have to wrap these because in the next few days we will be hitting hard freeze temperatures, which is when it does not go above about 32 degrees during the day. So if you look at these bushes, you'll see these 3 are my old bushes. These other ones are all new because the winter freeze killed them. They don't normally die in cold weather, but if you do get snow and you have a lot of frost, it will kill your plants. So that's one thing to consider. I'm gonna wrap all these up. This right here is an aloe plant. Unfortunately, aloe plants are succulents, which means they're like 95% water or something. So if it freezes, this thing will die. So what I do is I put this little thing under it. This right here normally holds water, but the reason I use this is I can easily slide a dolly under this, and I can put this extremely heavy plant into my garage to protect it if I really want to. I mean, it's just an aloe plant. I can regrow it. And if you look at this thing, check out how screwed up it is. You see that it looks brown right here? That's simply from some cold weather we just had where it was experiencing like, I don't know, 32 degrees overnight. And that was enough to actually make that thing really struggle. So be sure to protect your plants. And of course, bring your pets in. Open your garage, open your heart. If you have strays in your area, please let them stay in your garage. If you have a hoopty outside like me, then there's a few things you need to think about. So, first off, don't keep stuff in your vehicle that cannot freeze, okay? I hope that's common sense, but just remove everything out of it. You don't want it to freeze, get it out of your outside vehicle. Another thing to consider, if your hoopty's running water as antifreeze, that's not good. You should use real antifreeze so that you don't destroy your engine. Another thing to consider, windshield wiper fluid. This is what I run, and it clearly states on the bottle that it's not made for the winter because it's for use above freezing. Now, personally, I don't care. I don't think it's going to get cold enough to destroy the windshield wiper reservoir in my car. But one thing you need to remember is that if you drive in the very cold weather, then you don't want to use stuff like this because if it's below 32 degrees, it will freeze on your windshield and you won't be able to see anything. So be very careful with that. Let's talk about winterization of pipes. I'm going to keep this really simple. I have another video on sprinkler systems if you're interested. So this is my water main. Wrapped it in a towel, covered it in a plastic bag, and then I just used Gorilla Tape to secure it. That's all you really need to do. This is my main valve for the sprinkler. Shut off your main valve if you have one. That will help protect your sprinkler. And you can also put these little dudes right here on your faucets. There's a right and wrong way to install these, by the way. So if you were to install it like this, it's going to leave a gap because it's hitting the faucet underneath it. You see that gap right here? So make sure you install it properly, which is a long ways, like that. And then you just pull this little string and you're done. Don't wait for it to freeze. Get these now before they sell out. I've had this thing for a few years. They work great. You can store them and reuse them over and over. Now, if you don't have faucet covers, that's fine. Just wrap your faucet in a nice thick washcloth or rag and you should be fine. Some people drip their faucets. I don't do that. I've never had a problem. But, you know, if you have, like, for example, if there was a bathroom on this external wall on the other side, I would probably drip the faucet because you don't want the pipes in your wall to freeze, especially if you have metal pipes. Now, luckily, my home has the plastic piping that's able to expand. It's called PEX plumbing, and I've never had a problem. I've actually had it freeze before and it didn't burst or anything. So if you have PEX plumbing, you should be fine. For sprinkler system preparation, all I do is I turn off the main water supply to my sprinkler. I drain the backflow preventer and I wrap it in a towel. That's all I do. I have another video on this if you want to see it. I did have someone that basically told me I was a moron for not putting plastic around this towel. I used to do that though, and it never ever kept the moisture out. So now I just use an open breathing towel. And for me, that's been enough. I haven't really had any problems, even in the deepest freezes. Some people who are really hardcore, or maybe they're just new to Texas and don't know any better, they blow out their sprinkler pipes with compressed air. But honestly, I've never had to do that, and I've never had a problem. The ground is not going to get cold enough to do a complete freeze to reach the pipes that are probably 6 inches or so beneath the ground. And so generally speaking, your sprinklers should be fine. And just like with a hurricane, always fill up your vehicles before a freeze. That way, if you do have a power outage, you'll already have gas in your car and ready to go. Another cool thing is if you have a gasoline-powered vehicle, guess what? You can actually siphon gas. You can actually siphon gas from your tank right here if you're desperate to run your generator, which is great. If you have old gas that you did not burn during your emergency event, no problem. Put it in your car and burn it, and you're all done. The bottom line, though, is if you have ethanol-containing gas, you need to use something like Stable, or you need to at least make sure you use that gas within a few months because it will go bad. And just as a side note, in case you're looking for an amazing plant for your yard, this is Texas sage, and it can last through any drought. It can last through pretty much any kind of winter issues that you will have here in Texas. I highly recommend these plants. They're beautiful when they bloom. I will show you a picture of this thing in bloom. They are absolutely awesome. Places like Chick-fil-A love these. If you ever go through the drive-thru and you look by the drive-thru line, you'll see these all over the place. Texas sage, absolutely awesome. So as far as protecting your plants, I would highly recommend just getting some really large fabric covers like this one right here. And you also want to make sure, you know, around the house that when you have stuff like this brick, don't throw it away. Keep it around because it's perfect for weighing down your stuff. In fact, if you're desperate, another thing that you can do that I sometimes do is grab these right here from your gutters and I just throw them on top of the cover. I mean, I'm not trying to impress my HOA after all. I'm really just trying to protect my plants. And to let you in on another secret, if you have plants like these ferns that are kind of sensitive to being covered, you can get a bucket like this one. You stick it in the middle, and then if you have a canvas like this, which tend to be heavy and they can actually damage your plants, you can just throw it over. And there you go. That's a good way to protect your plants without crushing them. Just put something in the middle, and depending on how much wind you expect to have, you're obviously going to want to weigh down the corners of your covering. If you use a canvas, they do tend to be heavier and they can resist the wind, but these types right here, and I'm sorry, I know it's dark right now while I'm filming, but these fabrics right here that are really, really thin are extremely cheap. So if you need a huge one like I have right here that covers the entirety of my bushes, then those are usually going to be the best bang for the buck. But for something that's more sensitive, I would recommend using a canvas like this one. Just don't crush it. And that's pretty much it. Do yourself a favor, get some bottled water, get some canned foods, or maybe just raid your deep freezer if you need to. You don't need to go panic buy. You don't need to buy 20 packs of toilet paper, so please don't be one of those people. Surviving Texas winters is extremely easy. Just use common sense and you'll be fine. Stay off the roads in case they get iced over. Protect your pipes, protect your plants, protect your pets, protect one another, and just have a positive attitude, be happy, you'll be fine. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you found it at least somewhat informative or entertaining, and if so, please consider clicking the like button or even subscribing. Thank you and good luck. Bye-bye.